Okay, great. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel B. Smith. I am the chair of Lawrence's Cultural Arts Commission. It is 7:31. This is our regular Cultural Arts Commission meeting for July 8th. And I will start the meeting, as I always do, with a roll call, starting with Marlo.
Present.
And then Tim.
Present.
And then Alicia.
Present.
And then Monique, I believe, is on her way. Matthew.
Present.
And Eileen.
Present.
I'm also present. If Monique arrives, we'll have everybody here. We have our first order of business is to approve the minutes. So if anybody's had a chance to look over the minutes from our June 10th meeting, if you have any corrections or any comments, feel free to shout those out now. If not, as always, look for a motion to approve the June 10th Cultural Arts Commission meeting minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Matthew. We will now do a roll call vote to approve the June 10th meeting minutes, starting with Marlo.
I'll abstain from this one. I was not present at that meeting.
All right, appreciate that. And then Tim?
Approve.
And then Alicia?
I was not at the meeting, so is it better to abstain or to approve? This is a question.
Abstaining makes sense.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that knowledge.
And then let the meetings reflect that Monique has joined us. We are approving the minutes from the June 10th meeting. And we actually are just now getting to the point where you're supposed to vote to approve
And
them.
I feel like we should, so
All right.
aye.
And then Matthew?
Approve.
And Eileen?
Approved.
And I shall also approve. Not counting the abstentions, the meeting minutes for the June 10th Cultural Arts Commission meeting are approved unanimously. Which brings us right along to our public comment section. There are a couple of people here in person. Maybe there's some people online. I know that we have an agenda item later that people might be here to speak on, but if anybody wants to make a public comment, now is the time. Raise your hand or run up to the podium or unmute yourself on Zoom. Hearing none.
I don't see any public comment.
Hearing none, we can get right along into our agenda items, of which we have one. Our first and only agenda item is reviewing the Friends of Lawrence Area Trails mural proposal. Estamos Aquí, we are here. The mural is proposed to be painted on the west-facing wall of the Free State Brewing Company bottling facility at 1927 Moody Road, which overlooks the Burroughs Creek Trail just south of 19th Street. And our good friend muralist Dave Lowenstein is the project lead on this. So hopefully everybody's had a time to look over the proposal.
It's in your packet too. I want you to have, it's nice to have the image in there.
Love
Yeah.
the physical copy.
Porter even printed it off. Yeah, that was actually really nice. Thank you, Porter. So I'm curious now if anybody has any questions, especially considering we do have representatives from Flat and Dave Lowenstein himself here to answer questions or let you know what the concept is.
I would just say I'm very excited about this project. I love the idea of art in the trails, and I think the community engagement aspect of this is just very well thought out. So I'm very supportive of this mural.
I guess I will go ahead and say I'm very familiar with this the back of this Free State bottling facility and the trail that runs right by it. A lot of folks use that trail. I used to live right by this area and would walk and bike on that trail often. It gets a lot of use, and I actually just love the shape of that building. I feel like looking at that building, it almost just like screams to me that there should be something there, and of course, Dave Lowenstein's reputation precedes him. There's a lot of great pieces in his portfolio. I love the Mosasaurus. And I think, I really appreciate the layout and the colors and everything. And think that the folks who utilize that trail a lot will really enjoy having something else peeking out behind the foliage to kind of catch their eye as they whiz by. So I am personally very enthused.
Plus it's visible, having been back and forth to the fairgrounds this past weekend, it will be visible from 19th Street.
Oh, that's a great point.
Eastward, so it's a great wall for this type of opportunity.
I will say, looking at the sketch, I realize it's, partially malleable even at this state, but I am curious, out of all the elements, the key the key that's in the mix, partially to justify Dave's journey down here for this meeting to speak, but also out of my curiosity, is the key, is that what, is it a joke, is it a key pun, or?
Well, it can be if that's what you'd like it to be. I mean, for me, and amongst some of the folks that were working on this, those are some of the keys we lose on the trail. So there are references to the trail and trails and this place sort of in a big sense of time with the mosasaur and the trilobite, but also in the sense of our use of the trail. There's the tandem bicycle, there's somebody wheeling on the trail. But the keys are one of these aspects of our use of the trail that's a thing that we might discover or lose. I also see the potential of it as being something more for folks who see it that way.
Are the AirPods also a reference to something you've lost on the trail?
Yeah, right? Yeah, and there was this notion amongst our group about including elements that were particular to humans, but also particular to other forms of animal life and through different periods of time. Some of them treated, I guess the keys and the earpods are sort of akin to the fossil, right, in a way, in the way that they look. But for us, they're something practical, although in the distant future, perhaps they're just another fossil along the way.
Does anybody else have any additional questions?
I have a question. It just might be a technical question, just because I want to fully understand. What pocket of money is this coming out of? Is this something that anybody could have applied for? This is a chunky piece?
Good question.
I think, Chris, you could answer where
Good evening. I'm Chris Tilden. I'm the chair of Friends of Lawrence Area Trails that applied for funding through the Sunflower Foundation, a statewide foundation that supports trail projects. They provided a grant, as did the city, through the Cultural Arts Grant Program. So we received those 2 grants. We are still doing a little bit of additional fundraising to raise the additional funds needed for
It's a lot of colors.
things like, well, it's a tall building, the scaffolding and lifts that will be required.
Probably
to-
safety permits
to
and stuff
utilize
too.
that. I'm sorry?
Safety permits and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're fairly close to securing all the funding that we need. Certainly those 2 grants comprise the majority of the funds, so we're super close. We've received several small community donations today. We've been requesting smaller amounts from community members to kind of fill that small gap. So we're confident within a couple of weeks we'll, 1, have secured all the needed funding, and 2, be close to a point where we'll start the work hopefully before the end of the summer.
Okay, very cool. And then just one more question, just because I have a curious mind. It says Estamos Aquí, and we are here. I know that Estamos Aquí is we are here in English and Spanish. What is the representation of having Spanish in there? What's the significance of that? And is there room for other languages?
Great question. So the 2 languages really represent my own family household. Andres is half Peruvian. We have Spanish in our household, so it made sense. I also just think it's important generally to have multiple languages. I reached out to one of my friends who's a Kansa elder, Pauline Sharp, about using Ka translation of this same phrase, and they're all about it. But we haven't received the translation yet.
Okay.
So potentially, if it's okay with you guys, that would be an additional piece of text. Those were the 3 languages we were considering.
That's cool.
Of course, you could have many, many more, but that's really the idea.
if you would be open to it,
Yeah.
I definitely would love to connect you with some folks who can give you those translations that would be a wider representation, if that's something that that was open.
Sure. Yeah. Do you mean for KA or for?
Or, no,
Other-
not for
other
Ka. I
languages.
think, I'm sure we know Ka, but like, I think
Yeah.
that
Because I have somebody who's
there
working
are,
on
like, I love
translation.
that you have your family, like,
Yeah.
that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
But as diverse as Lawrence is, like,
Sure.
let's put some other languages.
Well, it'd be great. You're always leaving some out, though. So I think to be
is true.
thoughtful about
Absolutely.
that, but I'm
This is
open
true.
to it, for sure.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's all the questions I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that idea. And obviously, whenever somebody brings a sketch, even a really nice detailed sketch like this to us, there's understanding that there's a little bit of wiggle room as far as adding or modifying some of the details. So that does sound like a good room for that. Are there any other questions or comments, especially from our friends online? It's okay if not.
The only thing I would add to, I do really love this private business sponsorship or partnership between Free State Brewery and Friends of Lawrence Area Trails. So having that nonprofit and arts and culture combination with grant funding, this is a really wonderful project for our community.
All right, hearing no further questions or comments, as always, I will look for a motion to approve our recommendation to the City Commission to approve this great mural.
So moved.
Thank you, Tim. I will. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you, Alicia. I will now do a roll call vote, starting with Marlo,
Approved.
and then Tim,
Approve.
and then Alicia,
Approved.
and then Monique,
Approved?
and then Matthew,
Approved.
and then Eileen.
Approved.
And I shall also approve, unanimously approving our recommendation on this mural. Sketch is beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing it be beautiful on the building. Thank you for joining us.
Congrats. I'll get this on the July 21st City Commission agenda.
Great.
So that should,
Thanks for,
yeah, no problem.
all right, appreciate it.
Congrats, I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get your email.
Okay.
Believe it or
I know
not,
Dave,
Oh.
can you hear me? I was gonna say, I know Dave is leaving, but I want to say how lucky we are to have such a muralist and community member. I'm just excited to see another vibrant, beautiful mural made by the community.
There'll be opportunities.
We'll have a field trip.
Yep.
If you didn't hear, he invited you all to come and paint, so.
all right, believe it or not, folks, but that is our only agenda item. Which brings us to miscellany. Miscellany, as always, is the point where we talk about cultural and artistic events or experiences we've had locally recently that we want to talk about, or upcoming things that we want to plug, or literally anything else you want to get on the record on YouTube. So.
I would just do a big shout out to the arts and culture sector in Lawrence for being such a vital part of the World Cup experience these past few weeks. I know it's winding down, but just how wonderful it was to have the Stan Hurd piece, our amazing outdoor sculptures as part of it, and all of the events and programming that went into it. I mean, it was just a memorable 6 weeks, so I couldn't be prouder.
That is definitely a great point, Marlo. We are very fortunate that our community got an awful lot of shine, even internationally. And so I definitely have no regrets about our leaning into that with some of the programming we do.
I second that. I think it was a really, really neat opportunity for the local, as I refer to the grassroots entrepreneurs and artists, to be able to be front and center and included downtown, right in the mix of it all. So that was something that we'll never forget. It was awesome.
I will say, Tim, I know you're no longer heading up the art shows over at Landmark, but I believe there is one this Friday. Is that true? Do you know? Maybe you don't know. Well, I mean, I guess I'll have to double check the details. I can't rely on you for that anymore, but I believe that there is one, and I will try and swing by and see. I feel like what Tim started there has been great, and I'm hopeful to see that continue. And we'll try and attend and make sure folks realize how appreciated that is. Is there anything else folks want to call out?
I would also like to say that our little community has officially opened. The People's Market is a retail space and community hub. We have a lot of things in the works. Aside from retail, we are actively partnering with the USDA Haskell program to bring in more workshops. We're partnering with Open Studios to support more artists. And we are also working in partnership with the Revival Room next door, so that way we have more access to host private events, private meetings, just more safe spaces for community by community. So if folks get a chance to stop by 846 Illinois Street, Suite A, you cannot miss it.
846 Illinois Street, Suite A.
Yep, same plaza as Rick's, Old Town Square. So we have coffee and pastries Wednesday and Saturday and Sunday mornings. And then the rest of the store is open from about noon to 5 or 6. We're still adjusting some times and getting things going. But the morning coffees have been wildly successful for that neighborhood. So it's cool to be part of the downtown footprint, but it's even cooler to be tucked into Old West Lawrence and have free parking.
All right, great.
I want to add a reminder and encourage you, and I'll send you all emails that you can pass on, that the artwork for the Phoenix Awards, the application is due on August 4th by 11 p.m. online. And I'll send you all an email to remind people, and also include the nominations, which are due on October 5th. So, because I don't believe I've gotten any applications yet for the art work. So it's a great opportunity.
We can definitely push them out through our channels.
Please do, yeah.
I definitely will.
I'll send that.
Thank you for that email, please.
Yeah.
And thank you.
All right, hearing no other comments, this is the Mythical Short Meeting.
Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry. I also, if you look at your, well, you and I have it, not everybody, but just a reminder that we're coming full cycle with this board. And so at the September meeting, we're going to elect a chair and a vice chair again as an annual event. So I just want people to think about any interest that they might have in that, so that people start getting prepared for that. So
Yeah, that's
give you a heads up that that's going to be coming in our September meeting.
That's a great thing to point out. With nothing else on our agenda and no one else making any comments during miscellany, our next meeting is August 12th. That'll be our next regular meeting. And then, as Porter mentioned, the September 9th meeting is when we do the chair and vice chair election, which it always feels like was just a couple months ago.
Literally.
And somehow it just keeps happening. But yeah, anybody who hasn't ever served as a chair or a vice chair for a board and is curious about it, think about it a little bit. Feel free to reach out to me if you're curious about what it's like and fill in that role, and I'd be happy to chat about things. I genuinely will not be around forever. At one point I said there was a point where I bluffed and I said that next year I'm not going to be the chair, and everybody called me on the bluff, and then I was the chair again. I completely caved on that. I'm not going to do that again, because I understand that maybe not anyone else wants to do it. But if you're interested, reach out to me and I'll talk to you about it. It's not that hard. It's kind of fun. So that is the end of our agenda. Feel free to chime in if you have anything else to say. But if not, as always, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Monique. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim. We will now do a roll call vote, starting with Marlo.
Approve.
And then Tim.
Approve.
And then Alicia.
Approve.
And then Monique.
I approve.
And then Matthew.
Approve.
And then Eileen.
Approve.
I will also approve bringing our mythical short meeting to an end. Thank you all for being here and volunteering your time, and your perspective, and your leadership. Thank you to Porter, as always, and Kurt over in the corner for making all the tech stuff work. And I guess everybody on YouTube and our friends who joined us to speak. We will see you all August 12th, same time, same place.
See y'all. Thank you.